My name is Amanda and I'm an IB student. I'm in my final year doing the IB diploma program and I study quite a lot. Exams are coming up in May and of course I want to study a lot for them, but I also want to have time to read. And I'm sure that many of you are also students and you're in the same position as me, and therefore I thought that I would share 9 of my best tips to have time and make time to read while studying and at the same time staying motivated to read for fun. Some of these tips might seem obvious to you, but I hope that you will at least be able to take some of them with you and thereby be able to make more time for reading even though you have a lot of studying to do. If you have any tips, please leave them in the comment section below to help each other out, because that's what we're all here to do. And without further ado, let's jump right into the video, shall we? So tip number 1 is to every day read 30 minutes before bed. If you normally go to bed by 11, then put down your phone by 10:30 at least. Have those 30 minutes to read your book without distractions. You're not supposed to be on your phone 30 minutes before bed anyway, because the screen light just puts off the sleep hormone thing in your brain, but a book is fine, and I'm usually on my phone before bed, but when I change that, I feel like I have at least 30 minutes every day to read a book. Tip number 2 is along those same lines, because it's about waking up earlier during the weekends. I know that I'm not able to wake up earlier in the week because I start school at 8 o'clock and I have to be up by 6 anyway, but if you normally sleep in until 10 on the weekend, then put your timer on 9 o'clock and take that hour to read. Because if you want to read, you might have to sacrifice some of that so very nice sleep in the morning, but I mean, you can still stay in bed and read the book. That's what I do. Just setting an alarm to wake up 30 minutes or an hour earlier on the weekends, that makes time for you to be able to read at least a few pages. So the next step is to get off your phone. I know that I'm guilty of this and that's something I'm trying to improve, but I just find myself sitting on my phone for 20-30 minutes just scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everything, and I'm not really accomplishing anything with that because I've already done it 100 times. So every time you find yourself just going aimlessly through your phone, put it down, pick up a book. And this then leads into the next tip, which is always carry a book with you everywhere you go, because you never know when you'll have time to read 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because you might be waiting for the bus and you find yourself on your phone. Then pick up a book instead, because if you always carry it with you, then you know that you'll always have something to do instead of waiting or being in line or whatever. The next tip might only work for some of you. It works for me, and that is to read on the bus or on the train. I know that some of you might get motion sick and that might not work out for you then, but if you can, take the time to, when you're on the bus, to read. Instead of being on your phone, listening to music or whatever, actually pick up a book, because that's for me 20-30 minutes every day that I can get some more reading done instead of just doing nothing. It's just all about making what you can of the little time that you have. I personally go by bus almost every day for 30 minutes to school and 30 minutes home from school, and there I have an hour of reading. So the next tip isn't one that works very well for me, but I know many people who does this, and that is to listen to audiobooks while driving or cleaning or working out, because you have those things that you actually have to do, like clean your room for instance, which I have to do today, and it's kind of hard to have a book in your hand and clean at the same time. But then if you have an audiobook, you have both hands free and you can still do things and read at the same time. So tip number 7 is don't pressure yourself. I mean, be realistic and through that relieve some stress, because if you have a ton of tests that you have to study for, you won't be able to read those 3,000-page books for next week. That just won't happen. So just focus on reading as much as you can instead of setting like these huge goals that I want to read this much by that time, because that probably won't work out, and if you don't have time to read that much, then you'll feel stressed out and then you might go into reading slump and then you won't be able to read anything. So the next tip also goes along with that, and to reduce the risk of reading slumps, read shorter books. I mean, if you know that you'll be studying tons and tons and tons for the next 2 weeks, don't start Game of Thrones. Don't start The Name of the Wind. Instead, start something that is short, something that is fast-paced, or just something that you know that you'll be able to make some progress with, because that's how I avoid reading slumps mostly. If I pressure myself to read too many pages or too long books in a very short period of time, then I just will lose my motivation and then I won't read anything. So the last tip I have is to study effectively. And this might seem obvious, of course, but if you study effectively, then you will have time for those extra minutes of reading. And if you do the studying first and you do it effectively, then you'll have the rest of the day to read and you'll actually get the studying done. Because if you start procrastinating and you start reading instead, then you'll sit there in the evening with all your homework and you'll be really stressed out and nothing will work out. So that was actually all the 9 tips that I had for you, and I hope that you find at least some of them helpful. I know that each and every one of them aren't applicable to everyone. Here are just some tips that works for me, because I'm normally a quite slow reader and it takes quite a lot of time to me to actually get through the books I'm reading, and therefore I have to really make time to be able to read them. So my last tip was to study effectively, and that might not always be easy, but therefore I thought that in the next video I would share like 10 of my best studying tips, because like I said, I do study quite a lot, and over the last 2 years I've really learned how to study effectively and how to really make the most of my time. And if you would be interested in seeing that type of video, then give this video a thumbs up, then I would know if you want it, but I'll probably film it anyway. But I mean, I wouldn't mind some encouragement. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, I hope you found it helpful, and share your tips in the comment section below, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye!